And as a Tuesday, you know it's time to talk with the PT. Pete Thompson joins us a little bit earlier than usual, but we still want to get PT in because, you know, the Flyers are the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. The first golf major of the year was this weekend. So we'll get into all that and more right now. Joining us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline, the one and only Pete Thompson. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing well, Josh. Thanks for having me on early. I appreciate it. It's the Sixers crunched their schedule, but we'll see who's actually playing today, right?
Right. Well, we want to talk about Flyers with you, Pete, because let's be realistic. You are one of the biggest Flyer guys that we know. So how does the PT feel about the number one seed Flyers heading into the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I mean, I got to tell you, believe it or not, I actually missed a little bit of the first period the other night because I was out watching the County League game, a resumption of the ACBL. Shocking. And by the time I turned the game on, it was 2-0, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, you know, I thought the Lightning they'd have some trouble with, and that round robin was unbelievable. I mean, the way that they basically stuck to their guns, played their game, and the fact that, and I wrote this in my Shore Local column this week, that the fact that they didn't, Giroux wasn't a major noticeable factor. Voracek, Konechny, I mean, some of the names that you'd expect to be putting the puck in the net, you had Nate Thompson stepping up. You had, the guy that was the hero was Scott Lawton. Who knew that Scott Lawton was going to be so good? You know, I love that stuff.
Yeah, I do too. That's a huge thing. Getting the depth scoring. Claude Giroux, Voracek, these guys are off the score sheet, yet they're still finding ways to win. And I think some of that has to do with who they're defending. So when they're out there, you know, maybe Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Brad Marchand are out there. So maybe they're sticking more towards the defensive side to make sure those type of players don't score, which allows other players to step up and be able to produce offensively. But PT, this is just amazing. Don't you watch these games and smile the whole time? It doesn't feel real. It's almost as if we are dreaming.
Well, it's something I've waited for a long, long time. I mean, to actually have some confidence in your team going into these marquee matchups as opposed to the other way around. And listen, don't, overlook the Canadians. I mean, everybody's out there saying, well, they were the 12th seed. I don't care what seed they are. You know as well as anybody, Hunter, that when you get to this point in the ball game, an 8 seed can beat a 1 seed or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. And then the one factor that everybody likes to keep pointing out to was, boy, the Flyers were so hot at home. Well, they're not at home. Nobody's at home. It's that neutral thing, but that may actually benefit some of the young guys. I mean, Nick Aubé-Kubel the other night, are you kidding me? The guy, Phil Myers, sniping the top corner, Connor Bunnaman getting on the score sheet. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, now that you said that, now I got to play what my guest on Game Night said last night, Pete, because I had SiriusXM NHL host Scott Laughlin. He covers the whole NHL, and this is what he said about the Canadiens-Flyers matchup.
The great thing about the round robin was the fact that the guys that drive the ship now, guys like Konechny and Couturier, didn't need to necessarily carry the freight in that round robin. All that depth scoring led by Scott Lawton really kind of came to the fore. And I think that's the best news of all for the Flyers right now, that they could win the top seed and yet still have their star players perhaps not be at peak performance. They're going to be at peak performance against a Montreal team that I think is quite frankly in over their heads here in this best-of-7 series.
Pete, thoughts?
Wow, it's almost like you and I scripted out which way this was going to go. I mean, look, let's put it this way. Another storyline is the goaltenders, and Carey Price is still Carey Price. He can steal a game or two, but so can Cod Hott. I mean, Carter Hart has played out of his mind, and doesn't look phased and doesn't look like the stage is too big. And he absolutely could steal a game right back for the Flyers. So I absolutely feel good about the Flyers going into this. I like the fact that, again, the secondary liner guys have stepped up. Even, an AV is pushing all the right buttons. You can't say enough about, and it's not just AV. Like in the past, when you get pissed at the coach, you'd be like, I can't believe Hextall did that, or I can't believe Berube did that, or I can't, pick a coach that you were pissed off at. In this case, you understand that there's head coaches up and down the bench. It isn't just AV. It's Michelle Therrien, with, by the way, some snazzy suits, too. Gil would comment about how nice the suits were. So they looked outstanding. I mean, you got multiple head coaches there working, Mike Yo included, too. You got 3 head coaches on the bench creating this super brain of energy to then send out the players to go and do their best. I mean, it's just things are firing on all cylinders.
That's a great point. Yeah, the coaching behind the bench, it isn't just AV. They do have a lot of head coaching experience with him, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I think they're so successful. And one thing, though, that does concern me just a little bit is the power play. Are you concerned with the power play? Because you're not going to get a lot of opportunities to score on Carey Price, but some of those opportunities will come. Those limited opportunities will come on the power play. Does it scare you that it seems like they can't find a way to score there right now?
100%. And I hate the key. I just wrote the column yesterday for Shore Local. It'll be out in the Wawas and Dunkin' Donuts on Thursday. But I said my one concern is their power play. They went 0 for 11 during the round robin play on the man advantage. Now, of course, Montreal went 0 for 12, and they advanced too. So, I mean, you could say, well, the stat, yes. At some point when you get awarded the man advantage, you'll have to put the puck in the net. So you have to think that special teams is going to play a factor. I really like the Flyers penalty kill. I was scared bleepless when Michael Raffl went down because I thought he was an underrated player, especially on the penalty kill. And I thought that, he was that kind of guy that, even though he did light up the score sheet in the game that he got hurt, but more often than not, Michael Raffl's influence on the game is something that you can't see in a box score. You're not going to see on a score sheet per se. But, hey, all the right buttons. Joel Farabee stepped in and contributed. They even put Ghost in the other day, and he played well. I mean, all the things are clicking.
Pete Thompson joining us here on the Boardwalk on the hotline for a Tuesday with Thompson. Just a little earlier than usual here on 97.3 ESPN. Pete, are you ready to, believe that this team is going to make a Stanley Cup run, or are you still a little, tentative, maybe a little bit, wait and see, or are you all in?
I'm with my man, Broad Street Bowl. Sam Carchidi put a column out the other day. He said, Flyers are Philadelphia's best hope to bring home a championship. Hell yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. The Sixers have injuries up and down the wazoo. The Phillies bullpen is terrible. We don't know if the Eagles are going to play, and if they are, there are not going to be any fans. I mean, let's go Flyers! Clap, 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 clap. I'm all on board.
I love it, PT. I'm right there with you. I think that this team has turned the corner. They went from good to, wow, this team can actually compete. There's a couple of teams out there that are playing good as well. I think Colorado is playing phenomenal. There's some squads out there, but the fact that I know that they can compete with anybody right now is what gets my juices flowing. But you mentioned the Phillies bullpen, and I actually got your email last night. You sent me the box score, and I was like, oh, PT, how about that? Sending me some information to utilize on the 97.3 ESPN's website for my post-game reactions. But
happy to help.
Absolutely. The bullpen, though. I need to hear your thoughts on the bullpen and Nick Pivetta specifically last night.
I mean, have they made a move yet? Because this guy doesn't deserve to be in a major league uniform right now. A third of an inning, 6 hits, 6 runs, all of them earned, gave up the home run, 29 pitches, 19 of them were strikes. You think, oh, that's not a bad ratio. Yeah, strikes. That means they're down the plate so they can drill him. I mean, this guy is awful. And actually, it's funny. When I was on the show on a regular basis, Gil would always tell me, like, put up questions, PT, so you can get responses, and then we'll read them off on the show. So last night, knowing that I was going to be on for a Tuesday with Thompson, I put up the fact that my girlfriend's son, Michael, and I were having a huge argument about Girardi lifting Aaron Nola last night. I had a problem with it, and I didn't like it. I mean, the guy had never pitched a complete game. The guy had never, Aaron Nola, thrown a pitch. According to the stats, he's never thrown a pitch in the 9th inning of a game. It's 10-1 or 13-1. Give him a GD chance. Let him go out there. If he gives up a hit or two, then you pull him. But to bring in Nick Pivetta just to say he needs work, yeah, he needs work, all right, in Lehigh Valley. He stinks. He absolutely stinks. It's brutal. I mean, the only saving grace that I could say when I say the words Phillies bullpen is that there's a couple guys that may be coming back. David Robertson is throwing down in Clearwater, so is Ranger Suarez. Who would have thought I'd miss the Ford Ranger? I mean, who would have thought I'd miss Ranger Suarez? I mean, come on. These guys are supposed to be our saviors because who's there right now sucks.
I saw Connor Brogdon, actually, is another name, and he was intriguing before the season started. But I want to respond on your Joe Girardi comment. I do think it was the right move. I think that you're up 13-1. You're going into the ninth. I understand the accolade of a complete game is solid, and it's something that you would want Aaron Nola to do. But when you're up 13-1 and you're at essentially 90 pitches, the right move there is to put someone in the bullpen and to get the 3 outs. I mean, I just think it is the standard classic move to do in that scenario. You're up 12 runs. That person you put in the bullpen should be able to do it. I just feel like the fascination with the complete game accolade is, I don't know,
never thrown one.
The thought of the move.
Never thrown one. He'd never even thrown a pitch in the ninth inning before. And if you looked on the numbers and you looked at how many pitches, he averaged like 9, maybe 10 pitches an inning. So you're saying to me that 9 more pitches out of Aaron Nola was going to blow his arm out?
No, it's not gonna blow his arm out, but it's just the right move to do. It's the standard move to do. You're up 12 runs, you pull. It's just what you do.
Unless you're me, and I would have done it. But that's the beautiful thing of the debate, you know. We'll see what Zach Wheeler does tonight. I mean, you know, that now you get the chance to see back-to-back legitimate pitchers, you know, at least at the start of the thing. And then, of course, today's only Tuesday, but then by Friday I'm going to be pissed off again if I put Vinny Velasquez in instead of the kid. I put Spencer Howard out there again. Give him another chance. Throw Vinny Velo in the bullpen. We've always said that he is bullpen stuff. Good. Go out there. You're not a starter. Go to the bullpen.
Pete, before we let you go, I got to ask you about the first major of the golf calendar due to COVID. Everything got swapped around, moved around, and the PGA Championship was this weekend. I don't know if you saw, but the ESPN ratings and viewership on their regular television and then digital on the ESPN Plus broke every golf record on ESPN. So, Pete, people were watching the PGA Championship this weekend.
Including me. Oh, I saw it. In fact, I was watching it. It was coming down the stretch. You know, the time change helped too. I mean, it was weird to still be watching at 7 o'clock at night when normally on the East Coast when the golf tournament would be over by then, but that was only 4 o'clock out there, so it was just heating up. I mean, the drama, they had a 7-way tie at one point. It was very weird. I'm such a golf geek that I watched Tiger and Phil both play in basically morning coverage, which was noon out here, and watch them, you know, limp to not nowhere. They had no chance of winning. So how weird was that to see Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson in the meaningless coverage? But kudos to ESPN. I mean, look, they got record ratings because they did it right. They showed something like 1.6 shots per minute or something. I mean, it was like, yeah, we're going to 10, we're going to 11, we're going to 5, we're going to 7. I mean, they were just bouncing around, shot, and I can't get enough of it. I see some people that are bitching because they have to pay for ESPN Plus. Who cares? That's how it works in this world. You don't get anything for free barely ever anymore. So suck it up. You want the free stuff? Then watch CBS when they come on with their coverage. But if you want to watch every shot, you want to be hooked in like I was, then pay the stupid money. I mean, Colin Morikawa hit the shot of his life. It was unbelievable for him to drive that green. And they set it up. I mean, Nick Faldo beforehand said, like, you know, this is kind of like Memorial. He's going to be able to bend the ball, and he did exactly what they said and got it to 7 feet, and I was going bananas. I tweeted about it at that point. I was seeing, like, a barrage of tweets about the Sixers, and I was like, oh, God, maybe I should switch over to the Sixers. And I went to a commercial. The golf went to a commercial. I switched to the Sixers. It was the middle of the third quarter. I said, to hell with them. I'm going back to the PGA.
Well, PT, I didn't watch 1 second of golf. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do have some positive news for you. I got positive news for you. Nick Pivetta has been optioned to Lehigh Valley.
Absolutely. Hurrah, hurrah.
We'll leave you with the positive.
Because we were calling for it. Yeah,
right. Pete Thompson, Tuesday with Thompson here every Tuesday, usually at 5:30, but today at 2:30 here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Pete, appreciate you joining us for a conversation.
It was fun, boys. Bring it on home.